Hi, welcome to LiftBig TV. I'm your host, Mike Parsons, and I have my two guests here, Myles Rusak and Duguid, and we're going to be talking about some training things today. Welcome, guys, to the show.
Yeah, thanks.
Thanks very much for having us.
Yeah, good to be here.
So we'll get into you guys. Myles, would you tell people about how you got into fitness?
Yeah, well, growing up, I was always like the incredibly scrawny kid. And in high school, I got it into my head that I wanted to take wrestling. So my nickname throughout high school was Little Kid. And as I got into like OAC or grade 13, I was all of, 110 pounds. But I was supposed to be one of the big kids in the school, and it wasn't working for me. So I started hitting the gym then, and really started to bulk up a bit, and sort of life progressed. And I found myself, I got into this place where I dropped the gym entirely, and I went straight into like, yeah, I want to eat that, and yeah, I want to drink that, and ballooned up pretty big. Saw a picture of myself one day, and do you ever have that moment where you see a picture and it kind of ruins your day? That was,
Yep.
I went there, and I was like, oh no, what happened? So I had to get back into it. And then honestly, this is a really kind of cheesy segue into it, but I saw the first Captain America movie.
Okay.
And I was like, oh man, what did I do wrong? And so I actually got back into the gym pretty heavily, and I started an Olympic lifting training sessions, and kind of followed Olympic lifting pretty heavily for a couple of years, and really enjoyed it. And yeah, kind of stuck with that, and it's been an up and down journey for sure.
Could you explain to people at home, because obviously we know, but what the Olympic lifts are and what the techniques are behind that?
So Olympic lifting, it's usually like a 1 rep max kind of thing. You want to try to do one big lift with a lot of weight. The two biggest of the Olympic lifts are the snatch and the clean and jerk. The snatch is where you're bringing that bar right up from the ground up over your head, and again, you want to go very heavy one time. You usually drop it down after that. The clean and jerk, you're coming up underneath your chin and you're pressing up all in one big explosive motion. And that's a lot of Olympic lifts. It's a big explosive motion of a lot of weight one time. So training for it is a bit interesting.
Now, it's a largely technical lifting discipline, and I respect so much what Olympic lifters do because it's so technical. I had a friend of mine who was an Olympic lifter that he spent 6 months just doing the roll of the wrists with just a bar.
Yeah.
Now, when you see a lot of these disciplines out there, which we're not going to name names, what they are out there, where you're giving novice lifters and you're putting weight right on the bar and just saying go.
Yeah.
Like what kind of things do you think about when you see that?
I see it a lot at the gym now because I don't go to a gym anymore that really focuses on like Olympic lifting and everything. So what I find is you'll kind of see guys in the corner and they'll be watching what I'm doing, and you'll see that look of like, I could do that. And you'll see them go up to it, and it's the same as deadlifting, how it looks really easy, but there's so many ways that you can just, you roll your back wrong, you roll your wrists wrong. I watched one guy bring a bar up, and as he came through, the weight was too much, and he clipped his chin and broke 2 of his teeth. Like, wow, it's so easy to get hurt, and you're absolutely right. Like the training involved. I trained from a guy, he was everything you expect a Russian Olympic lifter to be. His name was even Yuri.
Oh.
And Yuri, yeah.
That's great.
Oh, I know. And Yuri,
He's legit.
he had to walk sideways through doors.
Okay.
He was a big dude, but we spent an entire training session with a piece of paper, and you had to be able to lift that piece of paper straight up without it flapping, and that's how you knew you had a good upwards motion. And if it was wrong,
I love that.
Yuri, he would just look at you and, no, you do it again. The paper flap, and you would do it again. And we did that for ages, and we just felt ridiculous.
Like, I remember when you told me that story, I actually tried it with the paper, and I was like, I have no control doing it that way. It's just going.
Yeah.
No, but that's awesome, though. And I love that old school mentality.
Yeah.
Now, again, there are people that it is too much old school, and there are like training through injury.
Yeah.
There's the difference between an injury and having a pull or something.
Yeah.
Most people, they go through these things and they say, oh, okay, I've torn something, I can still do it, no big deal. Especially younger people, their healing factor is a lot better. I do things now that I'm like, okay, I've pulled something, I need to take it easy. Whereas in my early teens, early 20s, I wouldn't have cared, and then just did it. But yeah, no, and I love that. So you also delved a little bit into powerlifting movements as well?
Yeah. I did dabble into powerlifting, not as much as I did Olympic, but powerlifting for me, like in a lot of ways, they can go hand in hand. Like it's still extremely technical. You're lifting very heavy, but it's going for those reps and those sets instead of one big and you're done. So it's harder. It's a lot harder because you can't get away with one big and you're done. You know, that was always the cool part of Olympic lifting is you get it up there once and you throw it down and you go, yeah, and then you walk away. Whereas no, and especially when training with you do it once and you put it down and go, yeah, and then you go 5 more.
All right, that's
It's
and it's so disheartening. I love when people hit personal bests and personal records. But then I'm like, you got to do it again. And that look where they pick it up and they're in full exalt and I'm great, and then put it down and you got 5 more. So that's great. And which again, I love training that style, and I love having conversations with other like-minded lifters. Lucas, it's been a while, so it's been just over 1.5 years, I believe.
Yeah, we're going to be 2 years this fall.
Wow.
So it's creeping up,
Yeah, it's been, and it's gone so quickly.
It has. I got my start as a seated professional in the world of fitness. I have no fitness background of any kind. So, I mean, that was a lot of years of not really doing anything past high school, college. And I mean, later into my mid-30s or early 30s, I got into swimming. And swimming was great for all the reasons, you know, that they tell you swimming is good. I overdid it like a lot of people will do. You start with a little bit and then, you know, okay, I can do a little more, I can do a little more. Next thing you know, I'm 3 nights a week, 4 nights a week. And then I pull a muscle badly in my neck, and then I can't turn completely. It doesn't heal properly. I'm out of the pool now because it's starting to affect my ability to swim. And I start packing all the weight back on, and I'm not eating like I was supposed to. So it's kind of a familiar story for a lot of people. You know, they try it, they go too hard, they get hurt, they bail. And so for me now, as you mentioned, coming up on 2 years this fall, I've been lifting here. Prior to that, I'd been doing some circuit stuff. Again, lighter weights, more reps. It got me off the couch. I'll say that. It got me off the couch. It got me thinking about what I wanted to do. It was an opportunity for me to learn about, hey, I could do this. I could parlay into that. I could go this direction instead. So when we thought, oh, you know, I really enjoyed the lifting component, let's give that a go. Let's spend a little more time with that. And you know what, there's lots of cool videos on YouTube. There's lots of neat stuff on the internet that you can check out. And it's tough not to get into it the more you get into it, in a way where you find that you're interrupting conversations about cars to go, that's great, but I'm gonna tell you, we were at the gym the other day. Like I'm interrupting so many people ignorantly and telling them about some gym story, and they're all like, that's nice, that's so good. But I don't know if they care or not, but I do. And it's such a neat thing to go from, like, it's not going to the gym anymore. Like, yes, it's going to the gym, yes, you're doing the movements and you're lifting and you're doing all these different things, but it's not, there's no drudgery. There's no, I gotta go to the gym. That doesn't exist. So to have that real paradigm shift where you're like, oh, it's gym day, right on, and you're worrying about your water and did I get all the food in? Did I sleep enough last night? Did I get enough water last night? And I can't wait to get in. I'm gonna do 5 pounds better and 2 reps up this week. So it becomes, and it's a team thing. Very much like a marathon. I'm never going to be the biggest lifter in the gym. I'm going to try and have the most fun I can, but it's like that marathon where you join the marathon to finish the marathon, not to beat everybody in the marathon. That may be the goal of 1 or 2% of marathon runners, but I know in that lifting realm, it's certainly not worlds apart. Very supportive environment, great team atmosphere, and we all get a little better each time we do it. So it's that progressive piece of the progressive strength training. So that's my pitch. Alpha Power and Performance Training. LiftBig.ca. Go there right now.
And it's a great pitch for me. No, but I mean, I loved the first time I met Lucas. He was actually designing my logo at Octopus Red.
OctopusRed.com.
There you go. And
God, it's a dirty show.
I feel like I have too much sleeves for right now. Like
we were going to talk to you about that.
Yeah, we had sleeves, but we flexed and they're gone now.
I got the black shirt memo, but the sleeve thing, I wish.
We'll get you a muscle shirt, no problem.
We'll talk over the break.
But again, I was having the conversation with Lucas the first time, and he was telling me all the exercises he was doing, and he had like this 45-minute routine about biceps. And I thought to myself, why are you doing so much?
It was a weird labor of love.
And now again, as most men will tell you, they love bicep training. It's it's one of those things, even though it's one of the smallest muscle groups that we have. But then I thought to myself, I'm like, do I break that barrier? Do I make this a little uncomfortable and weird? And of course, I always go for that.
Go for the weird.
Go for the weird.
Go for the weird.
And I said,
you gotta double down.
I think you can do it a little bit differently. And then I said, you know, I sent them a training protocol that I used to do called the triple set, where you would do a standard curl, a hammer curl, and then a side hammer curl was 1 rep. And I sent him that, and he said, well, that wasn't that hard. And I was like, really?
You clearly did it wrong.
You clearly did it wrong. But then I said, okay, no, I can't do this over email correspondence anymore. You need to come into the gym.
Yeah.
And that one day in the gym, just doing arms was enough to kind of, I felt that.
Oh, I was buried. I mean, and not in a bad way. And I think sometimes that people who go to the gym a lot, they'll talk about guy smacking up his teeth, or I almost puked from arms one day. And it kind of scares people a little bit, but it really isn't a bad thing.
Yeah.
It's actually, I don't know if it's a badge of honor thing or what it is, but as long as you're in a safe and controlled environment, this stuff's supposed to be hard. It's not supposed to be easy. It's not supposed to be like, oh, done. What else you got, tough guy? It's supposed to be a struggle, and that's like you have to earn every one of those reps.
And there's more to it than the gym too, and that's, I liked what you said about, like, you know, you got to get a bit uncomfortable and kind of leave your comfort zones. For me, like when I kind of ballooned up, I got to be quite big, and it wasn't like muscle big. It was like, it's funny, my wife got pregnant and I gained the weight. However that works, it's
stressful.
Yeah, like we were living in England, and I was like living in the pubs, and I'm gonna drink this and eat this, and I my heaviest, which for me was quite large, was 210 pounds, but it was all fat. Like it wasn't good. And for me, one of the things about losing the weight and getting into shape was that eating properly. But eating properly doesn't just mean like you're gonna live on chicken and rice.
No.
You know, when I had to change my mentality, like I went into like hard cardio mode to lose that weight. And I was losing it really quickly. But then when I wanted to bulk up again, it was this idea that people are telling me like, well, you need to eat 5 times a day. And I'm going, oh man, 5 times, like that's crazy though, but I wanna lose weight. How do you eat 5 times a day? Don't I eat 1 meal a day and then I'm gonna lose? Well, yeah, but it's not the right way, right? There's right ways to do all of this, and learning those things, like it was a total game changer, learning about good calories and bad and fats and all those things that balance it all out, so that when you get to the gym, you're gonna make gains, and you're gonna make healthy gains, and it's gonna help you to do.
And I think probably one of the most important things I've learned is that it's a long game.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Well,
absolutely.
And as we're gonna be going to break soon, but we're gonna talk about that when we get back, all the struggles that we do to get to where we wanna go.
Yeah.
Okay, and we're going to break, and thank you very much for joining us.